Greetings! I am Sanjay Greenwich, Information Officer for the Department of Information and Public Relations, and thank you for joining us for this GIS report. Today, we will be discussing Farmers and Fishers Week 2023, a week that is dedicated to celebrating our local fishers and farmers. And today, we have the privilege of being joined by Mr. Theodore James, the Director of Agriculture and Fisheries. Thank you and welcome, Mr. James.
Thank you, Sanjay, for having me.
Okay, so we're going to start by discussing the theme, and the theme for this year is building the third pillar of the economy. Can you tell us a bit about the significance of this theme and how it stems from previous Farmers and Fishers Week?
Sure. So it's about farmers and fishers building the third pillar of the economy. For many years, we have understood that it is not only the responsibility of the government and the people to build the pillar or to put the infrastructure in place so that these other pillars can be built, but it is upon also the farmers and fishers to also build the pillar, put in those energies or those synergies in order for the pillar to be built. After the 2017 hurricanes, we began to look at how is it we are going to get back to where we were. So we had a strategy regarding getting back to where we were. And that was coming out of the theme, Rise. And Rise for us meant to restore the production where we were, increase on that production, sustain that increase, and to educate the people. So from the theme Rise, we have continued to look at how are we going to increase, and this is the 1 year that we say we're going to focus on farmers and fishers and the third pillar. How do we move from where we were to where we are now and where we need to go to create a sustainable future for the territory?
Thank you for that insight, Mr. James. And viewers are reminded that additional information about Farmers and Fishers Week can be accessed on the government's website. But for the purpose of today, can you elaborate on some of those activities and events that patrons can expect?
Thank you. Over the years, again, we have continued to look at what we used to do. And again, we recognize that we had to grow from where we were. And one of the things that we are going to focus on for this year is more of a cultural feel. Outside of farmers showcasing their produce, outside of them showcasing their livestock, we are going to have a few competitions, just like those previous years. And this year we're going to have gooseberry stew competition. We're going to have the pumpkin soup competition. And trust you me, if it is one thing I love to do, is eat. All right? I don't know about you, but I could surely throw down some food. So outside of that also, we're going to also look at the entertainment. So we have the Razor Blades, we have Leon and the Hot Shots, we have the Advent Heartbeat coming in, and we are going to bring back the donkey races. That is something that was done in the past. And again, through the hurricanes and through coming forward, we weren't able to do so. But this year, we are also looking at bringing back the donkey races. We are also looking at the BVI Heritage Dancers and the flagpole, the Platinum of the Flagpole. So we have some cultural aspects into the events that we will bring back at the fair.
Okay, great. And I noticed that the schedule is very inclusive and it has a focus on the sister islands as well. Can you tell us about the chicken coop installation that will be happening at Anegada?
So when we look at Anegada, we visioned an island that can sustain itself, whether it is through poultry production or through pig production. Last year, we broke grounds on the poultry pen. However, through to budgetary constraints, we weren't able to begin that process. This year, we decided to get it done. So the installation is going on right now. However, we'll be continuing the installation throughout the week. That is, and we are focusing really and truly on egg production for the school in Anegada. One of the reasons why we are bringing this back is because I am getting older now. Many of my staff is getting older. So we need to encourage the youth to get into agriculture, get into fishing, so that they can carry on the management of the department, they can carry on the industries in fishing and in farming, so we can definitely begin to sustain ourselves. The government also spoke to us a few years ago regarding food programs within the school. This is also one area where whatever you sow, you reap can be cooked in the school cafeterias. And this is where breakfast program or lunch programs could even be better. I'll leave it there for now.
Okay, thank you for that. And as you may be aware, the government of the Virgin Islands recently launched the National Sustainable Development Plan. And significantly, number one in the goals category is health and wellness. So could you tell us a bit about the correlation that might exist between agricultural and fisheries production and accessing adequate, affordable, and nutritious foods right here in the BVI?
Thank you for that question. Health is very important. Agriculture and fishing is very important to us here. When we look at the ocean, when we look at the land, what it can yield for us, not only when we talk about the freshness of the food, but having it being reaped or harvested right there on the table within a matter of hours. That is something we can't duplicate. That is something we can't get from imported products. Where the food is fresh, again, it is local. We know what we are eating. We know what we are putting in the soil. We know what we are putting in the ocean. We understand who we are as a people. It not only provides a healthy meal, all right, but our meal should also be nutritious. In other words, when I'm talking about nutritious or nutrition, the vitamins and minerals that is needed within our foods is right there. Again, it's fresh. We know what we're putting in. But also, working the land also creates mobility, where we can strengthen our body, where we can get the vitamin D that we need. A little work in the soil is not bad. Fishing is also a part where not only it's cultural, but it is relaxing. So all of that adds to a healthy lifestyle. Fresh food, fresh fruits and vegetables, fresh protein out of the ocean. When it comes to physical activity, all of that balances what we can say a healthy lifestyle.
Okay, well, thank you to you and your department for promoting food security in the BVI, because it's a critical part of our development. And now, to go back to what you mentioned previously about getting the youth actively involved in agriculture and fisheries, can you tell us some ways that you think interest can be generated for the young people? Because sometimes agriculture and fisheries is kind of categorized as something for the older folks to do.
Interest can be generated. Very good question. One of the things that we are looking into is how we're going to get into the schools. And we are already doing that right now. We have been in conversation with the Elmore Stout High School, and they also have an agricultural program. Alexandrina Maduro School is also one of the schools that we have launched a few years ago. And it is a combination where we are using not only persons from the department, but persons in the community. Farmers are also assisting the schools to get back up and running. Private organizations as well. So we are focusing also on Career Day. How can we impact the industries by having a Career Day? And those are things that we are organizing to get back into the schools to do, where we can show persons or show the students that you can become a veterinarian, you can become a pilot, you can become an environmental lawyer, you can become a chemist, you can become a chef. It is not only about the farmer digging in the soil, planting food, or even fishing. There is aquaculture, farming, fish farming on the land, as well as incorporating cash crops through technology. So the area of farming and fishing has developed over the years to say it is more than just, again, the pitchfork, the shovel, the fishing rod. Technology has gotten so intertwined with these industries. We can definitely tell persons, listen, it's more than just that. The sky is the limit to farming. The sky is the limit to these industries. When I traveled in the Americas and I see a plane dropping down low and spreading fertilizers via the plane, when you go through the Caribbean back in those days and you see the banana fields and you see the planes coming and fertilizing, or you see where the scientists are on the ocean doing different research about corals and habitats to better improve the health of oceans for sustainability. That is something that attracts the youth. Not only that, the youth wants to know how much is it costing them in regards to education, how much money they will make. Well, again, by getting one educated in the fields of agriculture and fishing, governments all over the world hire persons on contracts and private organizations the same. So it has money. With the technology and the understanding, our students can go far. And those are just some ways we can showcase and highlight how these two industries are making a dent in the education of our children.
Understood. Thank you so much for that. And now to recap, and as we come to a close, can you reiterate for us again the objective, the overarching goal of this year's Farmers and Fishers Week, and how exactly the service that the farmers and fishermen provide the local community, how is that going to be celebrated?
Again, the theme is Farmers and Fishers, building the third pillar of the economy. So the significance of all of this and the impact of it is there is a focus now where it is not only on the government, as I said before, but a lot of the emphasis will require our farmers and fishers to move the production. You know, I said this a few years ago. It's not about only what the government can do, but it's what we are going to do for our country. If everyone who is in an apartment and who has a veranda can cultivate their own herbs, if those of us who have an acre, a half an acre, quarter acre of land, and we already built our homes, and we just have land sitting, if we can cultivate that land into production, whether it is through orchards, fruit orchards, or cash crops, if those of us who have vessels can get their commercial fishing licenses or even pleasure fishing licenses, it moves the industry forward. We begin to then build a pillar that we can call our own, and it is our own. But we will begin to look at reducing the rates of reducing importation of products that we don't have control of. We might begin to improve the health of our people, and we will then begin to look towards the next generation in teaching our young people to take on not only culture, but the business of fishing and farming. And that is the emphasis of this year's theme, that's the emphasis that we're going to go forward with. And that's the drive for us getting into the schools, getting into the farming community and the fishing community to re-energize the notion that in order for us to reduce importation, we must take the vision further. In order for us to gain, this is how I'm putting it as well. If we have millions of dollars leaving the territory for food importation, I think each farmer, each fisher should be able to have a decent income once we are providing those means for that. So, yeah.
Okay, so that was a very holistic view of the importance of farming and fishing, and I think that was a very appropriate place to conclude. And thank you again, Mr. James, for giving us a very holistic view about the importance of farming and fishing in the BVI.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. As a reminder, this week's Farmers and Fishers Week 2023, under the theme Building the Third Pillar of the Economy, thank you for joining us for this GIS report. I am your host, Sanjay Greenidge, Information Officer for the Department of Information and Public Relations.